Hey guys, what's going on? Frank Rich here from Rebuilt Recovery, and in today's video, I want to talk to you about porn and sex, and how they're not the same thing, and how thinking that they are, using one as an alternative for the other, using one, porn, as practice for the other, sex, is ultimately leading you down a destructive path and can put you in a very, very dark place where you're suffering and struggling with erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, the inability to perform the sexual act in real life. So this is something that is very, very close to my heart here, and I'm going to get to the video here in a minute. But before we do that today, guys, let me remind you who we are and what we do here. My name is Frank Rich, CEO, founder, and head coach at Rebuilt Recovery, and it is our mission to help men break free from the shackles of porn addiction through the power of faith and fitness. Now, we do that in a handful of different ways. First off, right here on the Rebuild Your Life YouTube channel, we are releasing new videos every single day, Monday through Friday at this point. So if you're new to the channel and haven't done so yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button right there, and also turn those post notifications on so you are notified every single time a new video is released. And secondly, for you guys that are in the early stage of identifying a lot of the problems that porn is having on your life, and are curious about what life can look like for you once you've been able to remove this destructive habit out of your life, make sure to download our free ebook. It's a 7-step guide to living life without porn, where we walk you through the exact process that we use with our clients and students here on how to identify a lot of the areas in which porn is negatively impacting your life, how to then take that and build a productive plan to get you out of this habit and begin to live a life free of pornography. But then ultimately, what do you need to do to hold yourself accountable and execute upon this plan every single day? Building the discipline, building the willpower, building the drive to abstain from porn and reboot and rewire your brain. So that's a 7-step guide to living life without porn. I'm gonna link it down there in that first pinned comment there below. But let's get back to today's videos, guys, because like I said, this is a very, very close topic to me, to my heart, to my own personal journey. So I'll share with you guys real quick. This guy right here, this model of health, 6'3", 245 pounds, shredded on stage, placing in the top 5 in the state of Florida as a classic physique competitor. This guy had porn-induced erectile dysfunction. This guy struggled with actually getting an erection. This guy struggled with being able to perform the act of sex in real life because he was so wrapped up and so caught up in his addiction to pornography. So what we need to understand is the stimulus provided from internet streaming tube sites, the stimulus that we're getting from today's porn, the graphic, hardcore material. We talked a lot about how it resets and rewires your dopamine center. What we get from this, the stimulus in our brain, how this triggers dopamine in our brain, it's 10 times higher levels of dopamine than the act of actual sex. So here's what you have to understand is the minute that you watch porn and masturbate and release, you've now sent your brain the signal 10 times greater than that of the actual act of sex. Now you go back the next day and you do it again, 10 times greater level of response, 10 times greater levels of stimulus, 10 times greater level of dopamine. So you're training your brain, you're teaching your brain that, hey, I can get this stimulus over here. Why would I even want this? Okay, this is why anybody that has ever struggled, with drugs, cocaine, you get that first hit, you get that first line, boom, it's this feeling like you've never felt before. But then what's happened is you can never replicate that same feeling with the same amount of cocaine. You're gonna have to go back and get it more and more and more. And then you literally are living in this cycle where the only thing that's gonna give you dopamine, the only thing that's gonna give you pleasure, the only thing that's gonna give you joy is the pursuit of that. Because the minute you have it, you're unsatisfied. The minute you've watched the porn and release, you're unsatisfied. So where can I get that feeling that I had leading up to climax? Well, it's not gonna happen in the bedroom. It's not gonna happen with my partner, with my spouse, my wife. It's only gonna happen by me seeking out higher levels, more extreme, more graphically shocking material, because I need to keep that baseline of dopamine moving up. And secondly, guys, we talk enough about here, and if you haven't done so yet, go back and watch the interviews with Dr. Trish. There's 2 episodes, Understanding the Neuroscience of Porn Addiction. But and this is actually something that's in part 2, where we talked about sex and porn. They are not the same thing. It's not even the same activity. So if you're teaching and you're training your brain that the tube sites, that the visual effects, the stimulus that I'm getting from pornography. This is where I need to go to get an erection and then get a release. You guys all know Pavlov's dog, the experiment with a bell ringing, mouth salivating, and they gave him a treat. Over time, they could get the dog to salivate without giving a treat just because he triggered by the bell. So the same thing, as we go back more and more and more, the more we condition, the more we hardwire that habit, the more we hardwire that neural connection in our brain. The only place we're going to get an erection, the only place that we're going to get a stimulus, the only place that we're going to get pleasure, the only place that we're going to get pornography is going to be from tube streaming sites. So why do we need sex? If everything that we have is artificial, it's in this fantasy world, why do we need the real thing? Well, we know we need the real thing because we need connection, we need relationships, we need that oxytocin that's released at the time that you're not getting in a solo act. You're only getting it when there's another person involved in the activity with you. We were created for community. We were created for relationships. We were created for meaningful connection with another human being. So you're conditioning yourself to get what you were created for over here through an artificial fantasy stimulus. And the more you seek that out, the more you go towards porn and the more you run away from this, chances of this actually doing anything for you, and this side over here being real sex, it's going to be non-existent. And I talked to too many men, and this is why at the beginning of the video, I shared my own personal struggle with this, because this is something as a young man in his 30s, the pinnacle of health, I had this issue. So this is so close to my heart and the mission that we're doing here, that men, if you're already struggling with this, don't give up, because we can change your brain, and in changing your brain, we're going to reset your body. So if you're already suffering with PIED, if you're already suffering with sex is just not doing it for me anymore, good news is there is an outlet for you. There is a path to freedom. But for you guys that are watching this and haven't yet experienced this, understand that if you continue to go down that path that you're going right now, this is where you're going to end up. You're going to end up in a place where sex no longer does anything for you. You live in a vicious cycle of porn and masturbation through the tube. And basically, this is going to lead you to social anxiety, loneliness, separation, the inability to connect with another living human soul. Guys, so this is a serious topic. Porn and sex are not the same thing. Don't use one as an alternative for the other. Don't use one as practice for the other. I think using, masturbating to porn to practice for sex it's like shooting free throws to prepare for the Super Bowl. Guys, it's not the same activity, it's not the same sport. And if you want to change your brain, if you want to reset your body, if you want to rebuild your life, you got to stop watching pornography, but you got to reset your brain, rebuild your body, and then get you out of this cycle. So that's it, guys. Real quick, informative video here. Hopefully that this brought some light to you, understanding that if you're currently consuming pornography, if you're living in this destructive habit, if you're struggling with these issues, guys, now is the time to get it under control, because if you haven't yet experienced these physical effects, if you haven't yet experienced these physical side effects, they are coming. They will show up. So guys, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you're new, subscribe to the channel, download the free book. My friend Chris from Rebuild Recovery. I'll see you guys next week on the other side.